my name is Trailmaker,
And I'm Rangru.
and we have ESL very late this week. Is this week 7? Week 7?
This is week. Let me just check real fast. This is week 8, number
Week
8.
8! Oh my god, 2 full months done. This means that the points are done for the next final.
Indeed,
I
indeed.
didn't look into it myself. We have Motoko and Toppo, and they're representing the team JP, standing for Japan.
And on the pack side, we have Firestarter and Ribar, who are representing the Balkan Barbarians.
Brum, brum, brum. So, sad news. People don't like your laugh.
They don't?
They don't like your laugh.
They don't like my laugh, because that's... Go ahead, sorry.
Lots of complaints about your laugh. It's
That
that's my cell phone.
is your cell phone. That's actually quite funny, because many people, my mates, say they quite enjoy it, because they think it's very weird. Which is kind of a weird laugh, because they laugh like...
Well, my laugh is bad and ridiculous. I don't laugh myself because it's so bad that if I tell a joke, the joke might not be funny, but people will laugh at my laughs like, dear God. They'll say it to my face like all mean too, like, dude, your joke was not funny, but your laugh, sir, it's a work of art. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, back to the game though. Just thought we'd throw out that public service announcement that you can laugh all you want, but people don't like it. All these Eastern Europeans are very anti-laugh. Super serious commentary.
It seems like NATO aren't getting quite a few helicopters, a few heavy hogs, some lynxes here, and yeah, not too many ground forces, and not too many tanks from NATO. Actually, non-tanks at all. Oh, actually, one AMX, but that's about it. Well, packed, a lot of ground forces, not really many helicopters, so a bit of a different playstyle from both sides.
Yeah, kind of doing something that Firestarter and Tiga did last time they played together. And Ribar, of course, is their replacement player. They went with a lot of these really big AAA anti-air vehicles. And went with more infantry, more tanks. And whether that'll work or not, that's something else.
And it should get started any minute now. Also, I forgot to mention, the map is Calamar. As you can see, it is a very even, symmetrical map with really 4 sides for each player or for each side to capture, and away we go. Match has begun.
A Crusader.
Crusader coming out. But there's no packed planes coming out, so this is going to be the only plane on the field. Might try and knock out that Mi-8 flying over to Delta, but that's really about it. It can't do too much. Oh no, he's just flying it around his base.
I'm just wanting to use this as an anti-air fighter, anti-napalm situation, playing safe, but in this playstyle that Firestarter has come up with, it's just completely not necessary, and the MiG might get a pot shot off.
MiG-31 actually managed to hit the Crusader once, but won't be able to shoot it down again. Does manage to get out of the air. And we do have Toppo moving up his series all the way into Delta. No, is he moving up? No, he's not. He's just landing them in Charlie. He's going to secure that zone.
And this helicopter metagame, it only matters in certain maps. Because helicopters are not that much faster than vehicles. And it only makes sense usually when you have a very non-straight road. Like, this one's pretty square.
Because helicopters can fly, it can go over all the nasty terrain, which vehicles can't do. Land vehicles. The Mi-8T going to get shot down by the VABs. Moving on a little bit too close. But PAC did manage to secure Delta, and NATO did manage to secure Juliet on their respective sides. If you look at Juliet Motoko unloading his Fusiliers, I think he's going to try and move them to a little factory area, but Firestarter is already there.
And this map being divided pretty well evenly. Slight advantage going to JP because they didn't get an extra vehicle. Yep, I don't know if they will. This map's pretty well split up evenly.
Yeah,
here.
very, very, very even very evenly split. So one side is gonna have to take advantage and try to steal a cap zone from the enemy. But who will that be?
And it's going to come down to lots of these tactics. I mean, Firestarter and Ribar are rallying out a lot of units, and if they don't succeed with them, well, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Because they're sacrificing their point trickle.
Indeed. They have a little bit of a movement in Juliet. Fusiliers trying to take out Spencers and BTRs. Have some reinforcement Zippo, and draw some more infantry being brought up.
Pulling back those lynxes for some reason.
They do have the Hydra rockets, so you might want to use them a little bit later. Those Hydras are quite nice.
The two T-72s, it looks like any kind of push that comes across will in fact be shut down. Not much that infantry can do in the open. Just these T-72s are just wiping the one shot at a time.
Indeed. It's an incredibly good job. Volley after volley. But I think Zippo is actually doing an incredibly good job knocking out his BTRs and stunning anything that tries to get too close. Here comes the Lynxes. They are coming up. What are they going to try and hit you? They have a Leopard run some... I believe that's a Danish Leopard. Yeah, it's like the Danish Leopard being moved up.
It is. And there's no AA really in this area, so these Lynxes can actually do a lot of damage, but you know, he doesn't want to risk anything.
He actually moving his... Toppo actually moving the Hueys around a little water area in the bottom left side of the map. Probably do some scouting with him. What was he... You know, if he does actually try and fly over to India, Firestarter being prepared, he has some igloos out in the open. Very good placement here to stop any sneaky peeky helicopter business.
It's just one of the benefits of not really playing too much in the finals, not having your matches posted. You can watch somebody's matches and realize like he does these sneaky deaky helicopter pushes around this time, and so you just stage all your AA there and boom. But T-72s are getting knocked out right now. There's one down, there's one stun, and could get knocked out again. This is a very dangerous push here.
Yeah,
might be able to break through India.
If we take a look into Charlie, Pact are moving a crap ton of mods directly, BMPT support into Charlie. I did manage to capture one town sector for themselves, but the heavy hogs are doing quite good damage, stunning the units that do try and get in.
Yes, and that push will be largely unsuccessful. It's got a lot of vehicles as well that can be used for either fodder, but the T-62, of course, is the big one, that napalm. That can't die.
Yeah, I think actually might take his town area, to be honest. Just have so many units, just so many. If they can move up at BMPT, that can really give some great support and fire. Is no real heavy tanks here to stop him. There
are some infantry in the woods to the south that can actually move up and flank a lot of this AA and make this really challenging.
Oh, yeah. If you can just move those Herfman just a little bit, you can just do quite a bit of damage.
And you can get that BMPT, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like good side shot, yeah. Very good side shot.
But a little bit distracted, not entirely using this to his advantage, is Toppo. And these infantry are going to do a little bit of leapfrogging, trying to get to a free zone.
Oh, he's actually moving Herfmans now. But slowly but surely, they're probably going to take out that 2K22M Tunguska. And hopefully the BMPT... Oh, Berentino being used into Charlie, doing quite a bit of napalm damage, yeah. Not really hitting too much.
The Berentino thankfully came back into popularity. For a while, it was just never being used, but it's still very expensive. That's still something about it.
I think it really helped it because now it's in the vehicle section and not the support section. It gives you some few activation points to free up to get another unit, so it isn't as costly. Because if you get a Berentino, like if it was a support unit, you might have to give up like a a Tunguska card, and those are really more important than just a napalm launcher.
These infantry have wiped out most of this. The BMPT has one hit point left on it.
Is it gonna go down? Oh.
They're all out of rockets? No, there's still some left of rockets.
Yeah, they have like one squad has 4 rockets left. You can just get one shot on that BMPT. It will be toast. But now NATO is actually starting to bring up some Hervman, some NATO reserve infantry into the town to try and stop the Spetsnaz and the Mots directly. And the Mots directly goes down, but the Spetsnaz are holding out quite well. They only have one shot left in their napalm launchers, so I don't know how effective they will be. The other Leopard 2A4 from Toppo holding down at Little Road, coming into Charlie. Very good position in the air.
This could be another one of those games where it comes down to who has more infantry in their decks. As this, clearly Charlie is going to be a big deal. It's going to be one of the deciders. The southern flank is pretty well a stalemate right now. Neither player is really able to burst through that that zone there. Motoko is actually engaging their mind with a large tank army, but it is also a bottleneck, which is kind of problematic.
Yep. You could really make some progress into India, to be honest. Even though it is a bottleneck, yeah, it isn't too much there. It's just like one T-64BM, a few Concours. All you have to do is just move up.
And it looks like you may be going for it.
Yeah, moving up some Leopard 1, Leopard 2s. And try and knock out T-64BM, which shouldn't stand too much of a chance bet against Leopard 2. He's just going to move the Seahawk. That's going to get some very good, nice shot off on the at.
Now he's got to pull back this T-64 and only shoot when he gains vision. He almost always, there's a little bit of a dance you can do because of the slightly higher rate of fire. You can move back and forth, but it looks like it's picked off relatively easy.
Yeah, Seahawk doing that quite well. Oh, we do have a TATU, yeah.
There's your big game changer. The god vehicle himself has arrived.
Yeah, he can really do quite a bit of damage to take out his Leopard 2A4 and any of the tanks that do try and move up, but we do have a lot of infantry from Motoku being moved up into Charlie, as you can see, and he's probably just going to spread him all around the little southern forest, yeah. And
that just spreads danger. Actually, you're going to separate them all out. Separating has had a brand new impact that people didn't think about. If you have all these shots firing at one target, you waste a round of shots. So it's not really intended, but that's a lot of people are doing it.
Also, another reason why people like to separate infantry, I talked to Hitman about this, he's also a pretty good player at Wargame. It's when you move an infantry squad in like a big platoon through a forest, you only have like 2 infantry squads firing compared to the 4 you have. So if you spread them out, you can micromanage them to shoot all their weapons at the same target. So there's no idleness in the squad. He said it's a little bit of a problem because they kind of turn into this weird like blob square and then run big platoon. If we take a look back over in Charlie, it seems like Pact getting shot down a little bit. The advance has slowed down. There's some T-62 flamethrower tanks moving around the side.
Just too many reserve infantry here. Just looking at almost 100 reserve infantry just sitting here. And looks like the battle of the decks has been decided, but also it's mostly because of that southern branch. If they weren't losing so bad in the south, they probably would have continued reinforcing that.
That flamethrower tank gonna burn up his Hervmans in that little town area. Yeah, it's a very good idea getting out some flamethrower tanks. That's great against knocking out infantry inside CQC areas.
Especially his reserve, and I'm surprised he hasn't actually just targeted this TO62 until this point. Like, letting him do that is a surprise.
It's funny, he does manage to get shot.
Well, this is looking pretty bleak for Firestarter and Ribar. Southern is just absolutely getting capsized. That's a 2-point base. You can't lose a 2-point base.
The NATO is already in the lead. It's quite a bit, so no matter what, Firestarter and Ribar are going to have to be on the offensive to bring this match to your favour.
Absolutely. With these infantry in the woods now, Leopard 2 joining in with some Hervermen, it's gotta be kind of brutal. They need to bring a game changer.
Yeah, that TATU in the forest, yeah. I wouldn't say that's the best position for it because it does allow the riflemen and all that first RPGs at it. I'd say it'd be a bit better out in the open, a little bit first array.
Well, this is really where they need that Buratino because they're not in buildings. These units would just melt to napalm right here, or even just a napalm bomber or something like
yeah,
this.
just
great opportunity they're not using.
And it all clumps up, just one good bombing run here, and all will be done for.
And they're all stacked up. Like, I can't see how they got to the finals without, you know, really thinking about this. And oh my god, a Grizzly CP is coming in to knock out this point.
I actually saw right before I see an SU-24 MP into Charlie, but I actually didn't manage to do too much. It would have been so much better if been used in India, I have to say.
Well, it's going to soon be all or nothing. They're going to need to do some crazy all-in tactics, because this Grizzly is going to cancel out this point. And it's going to make the trickle begin. Again, +2. And that means if they knock it at this point, as in they kill that command, it's way worse. Way worse.
+4, and that's a lot of points in a Conquest match.
If you're losing that much that fast, like, you can just lose the whole game in a second.
Like, in 5-10 minutes.
Well, yeah, I guess technically, yes.
In technical terms, yeah. Seahawk going to be knocking out T-64, but Tunguska is in a perfect position to engage a MiG-25 Seed aircraft being used to knock out that Roland 2. That's a very good use for it. Oh, Su-24 is going to be doing a bomb and run all the infantry in the forest. Bye-bye. Ah!
Stuns are good, though. Only one still firing. Spetsnaz is going to survive a little bit longer and do a lot more damage, actually.
A second Su-24. Boom! Oh!
Actually gets a hit on the Grizzly CP, which only has 2 hit points left.
Finally bringing in the bombers. Oh, here comes a third run from Firestarter. This is what they needed to secure the India side. Great work.
Not too much AA in the area. They haven't. They kind of. This is kind of what Firestarter's been doing as a style. Start off with a lot of ground forces, take position, and then run in with the late game bombers, late game air superiority fighters, and it's always been very successful. But I mean, this is a situation where if they can push back with those bombers, that would be huge. There's a lot of clump forces on the southern branch they can completely abuse. With that.
And they are starting to make some progress into that forest. So again, I do have Spetsnaz for napalm launchers. It's quite killer. Even T7 to do, even a tank doing a bit of damage on the outskirts.
Of course, the reason why those bombers became a big part of the metagame in the first place was just because of how flexible they were. They could be used anywhere, any weak points. And now that those bombers are out, they should start doing a lot better than they were doing before.
They can start hopefully pushing back the NATO reserve infantry spam. I really hope they do.
Otherwise, it'll be a very, very short game. Mortar is actually here from Motoka. That's refreshing. You don't get to see a lot of artillery in these games anymore. Even though it's an infantry-dominated game right now, they don't use infantry. Leopard 2A4 can try and tank a little bit of the infantry damage as his own infantry come in to try and pick up the Spetsnaz.
Yep, and those Spetsnaz do go down, and NATO's going to be start moving up through that forest once again, being very much a hot zone on this left side of the map. I really hope those Su-24s come in once again and start bombing this forest down. That could, they're all clumped up right now, very close together. Just run perfect bombing run from north to south. Yeah, it would be destroyed.
And one T-72 is going to come in here with 1 hit point running into infantry. Clearly has been forgotten.
Yeah, he is not going to survive yet.
And there goes a big down.
If you take a look over in Charlie, not much progress has been done. NATO managing to recapture the town, but Pact getting pushed back from their original position. Just lots of napalm and a lot of Hervmans are scattered all the way around the town. It's very hard to rout out many. Now just moving in empty supply vehicles.
Just a good way to potentially waste the ammunition of your opponent. At best. This is getting pretty brutal. Firestar's calling for an attack. He's got the peg on these infantry. They're just waiting for their bombers to hit.
Oh, here comes the bombers. 2 Su-24 MPs from Ribar. Oh, he could do quite a bit of damage.
And he's got his, of course, anti-radar vehicle trying to pick off some of these radar weaponries. And one hit good, one hit not so good. But still lots of damage done. Spetsnaz will joining in, trying to time with that. And here comes another barrage. Also kind of a big miss. Not really. Got a lot of stuns.
Quite a few stuns. I think I could have spread it out a little bit more, but I think I was trying to knock out the tanks in the forest at all, to be honest. The Leopard 2A4 is at 1 or at half HP, while the other one is still at full. And now Firestarter going to move out some infantry and a few tanks down through the forest once again. Has on a T64 BVI, which should be quite good against Leopard 2A4. And Motoko neutralized in India once again. NATO's going to be start gaining some points. That is what they need.
Mortar Barrage trying to do something. Gets 3 stuns. Quite good. And we're going to see a desync in units here. The T64 is moving up completely alone. That was not planned. And now finally the T72 is joining up.
Leopard 2A4 is actually retreating all the way out of that forest. Same for the Grizzly. They are going to fall back and let the infantry come up and do all the dirty work for them, as Motoku probably bringing up some infantry, as I mentioned earlier, some Canadian riflemen to do the damage.
And he doesn't really need to throw away units to win this game. He's playing conservatively. He's bringing in Jupiters to resupply those Leopards right away, so he can get them back into the fight to fend off this these T-72, T-64 tanks. And the infantry should be able to hold it back just in time. Especially with that Zippo doing a little bit of fire damage.
Yeah. Very good way to block off the enemy line of fire and to stun any infantry at getting to range.
Absolutely. T-72's pretty well spread all over the map, trying to do a little bit of damage everywhere. That's kind of something that both Firestarter and Ribar have been very good at, is multi-pronging their pushes. They come from an era that was very much 1v1 dominated. Next round of mortar should probably... Oh, it's going to be used to smoke. It's surprising.
Going to be used to smoke. As he block... I think they're trying to block off a T-80U and T-64 line of fire back here in India. So they can actually get the infantry into the forest and hide them all over the place. Su-24 is be really good at the moment. And Su-25, just a bulk standard one being brought up from Firestarter. Probably going to try and knock out his Leopard 2A4s. And it isn't being too much contested, only a few AA units shooting at it. I think did he manage to knock out a Leopard 2? Oh, he did manage to knock out one Leopard 2A4, so that'd be quite good.
And he's got a lot of infantry here. He'll probably be able to bring up the command vehicle, which he's doing right away, of course, and reclaim his position and once again start bleeding them dry.
It seems like NATO is on over in the Bravo sector near Charlie. They're trying to make a little bit of a push with some Hervermans, not going out too well. They're trying to hold on to what they got, but they are trying to make some progress all the way around the forest with the Jaegers and the Leopard 2 and all of that spread out everywhere. Toppo is actually moving some infantry and TGBs right close to the concourse. Hervermans are unloaded. They might actually capture out this whole town area in Bravo, and that would be quite a game changer.
Oh yeah, especially considering that there's almost nothing defending the command there. It might even give him vision so he can just bomb it.
Yeah.
So bleeding has, of course, continued on the bottom flank, has been completely neutralized. Too many Canadian infantry to really contest right now. And if they can continue pushing forward, they can wipe out a T-80U probably.
Oh, of course they're being used as napalm, yeah.
Dear Lord. The bombing is ridiculous.
Oh, Su-25 going straight for Leopard 2A4, managing to finally kill it with a little gun run with its GSH little minigun, yeah. It does go down. I really like a Ribar and a Firestarter are using the Su-25 to knock out the super heavy Leopards, because NATO does not have much AA, and they're really taking advantage of how NATO does not have much AA.
And hasn't really even tried to contest. Either. Clearly they have air weak decks. But they don't even have like their original air superiority fighter anymore. That's been long dead. Now, of course, it doesn't matter too much because Motoko and Toppo are in the lead and have mostly broken into Bravo, too. There's
Yeah,
only
mostly.
some, like a handful of infantry left. The next group of higher Habermans should come in and just wipe it out.
And if they can just garrison all the buildings around in Bravo and the forest, they can have that place on a lockdown, and that would be quite good for them, and they'd definitely gain a very steady bleed.
Oh, there's a little bit of a sneak attack that has actually been caught coming here from Firestarter. They're going to try and run down, but of course it's already been covered with some higher Habermans. Wanting to get a side attack here, but no cigar for them. Completely getting picked off. And unfortunately, they probably could have used those units to defend. Unfortunately, they kind of need those units.
You'll have to admit the Concours slap bang in the middle of that town area. They basically have ATGM superiority of a huge area as it is this all open field. But there isn't too much like heavy tanks from NATO, so it's kind of like a plus and a minus.
Yeah, they've just been shooting down these Jupiter vehicles, which is helping a lot, but not really what they're intended for.
That's going to move some Jaegers and Hussars to try and contest them. Just keeping them in the open, I'd say, not moving them up too much.
And yeah, this is starting to slow down quite a bit. The inevitability of defeat is almost starting to come into play here for Firestarter and Ribar. Unfortunately, bottom is just not working out for them at all. It's one of the weird things about this map. This course is one of these almost 3v3 design maps. And when you're playing in a 2v2, it gets pretty squishy on which flanks you're going to emphasize on.
Indeed, indeed. We do have the Yak Chain SU-24 coming in from Ribar. They are going to try and destroy the infantry moving up in the open.
Oh dear lord.
And those Habermans should go down. Yes, they do.
I think we just saw a combo breaker right there. A napalm and a KE bomb hitting simultaneously, wiping out an entire platoon. Still, there's another group of 50 plus infantry moving from the north into that town and trying to grab it. And if they plant that town, that's it. That is the end of this flank. They won't be able to retake it back. They won't be able to hold it. They're going to have to push back this UAZ command vehicle. One is in. He's going to get rid of all these units very effectively.
Oh, there goes UAZ. Smooth and array.
And yeah, that's just the right choice. He knows it's gone. Toppo immediately flags, this is where it is, kill it. Because you can kind of see on the map that that town is in perfect vision of where the command was. So it's not going to take too much guesswork for them to figure out, like, oh yeah, there's a command there. Bottom flank continues to go pretty badly. They've been doing a lot of good stuff, like limiting the number of leopards on the map has really helped them because they're not dealing with any high-vetted endgame tank pushes. And they do have their own set of high-vetted tanks as well.
TATUs and T-64s bloody everywhere.
But unfortunately, these cheap infantry pushes have just been insanely too effective, and they haven't had a real answer.
Yeah.
That's actually because they've done really cool things with the KE bombs and napalm. They've been really cool and they've worked out really well. They destroyed a lot of infantry, but there's just so many infantry.
And they're all so well evenly spread out because, like, all those Canadian rifles are all spread out in one squad, and they're just bloody everywhere. Like, you're gonna have to have like multiple HE bombs covering the whole forest to knock him all out. And that TAT moving up, just getting shot at from RPGs from every single side. It's gonna have to fall back. Maybe some BMPTs would be a good archer. There was like one BMPT in the Bravo sector. It's to do some pretty good supporting fire. But they're going to need a lot more if they really want to bring us up. They need to stop bringing out these heavy tanks and start bringing out support units. Afghanskis as well. Afghanskis are an absolutely brilliant unit at knocking out infantry. And heck, even the AA unit, the CSU's quite good at that.
Do I smell a member of the cult of the autocannon with us? Looks like the top base Bravo has been knocked out completely. That's kind of brutal. Leopard's being rallied in here by Toppo, and I think right now we might see a switch in how Toppo and Motoko play, and they might transform into the anti-cheese style play, in which you get a decent amount of everything, so that whatever all-in they try to do will fail.
They can just counter.
Yeah, exactly, because a lot of people like to do the air all-in. Hopefully that works. Some people like doing the tank all-in. I think Firestarter and Ribar might just push all their units in.
Yeah, I think that's really the only hope they have. There's only 12 minutes left on the clock, and NATO are at quite a big lead. They definitely can't catch up in terms of points, not now. If they want to win, they're going to have to all in, try to get every single last CV, I'd have to say. It's looking quite bleak for Pact.
Absolutely. It's one of the big reasons why we have been seeing a lot of NATO versus NATO finals. And this is one of the two, I think, of the entire 8 games.
Yeah, a lot of them has been like NATO versus NATO, because everyone loves NATO reserve infantry. The Swedish heads and knees and the Danish Hervermen are absolutely brilliant at what they do for a very cheap price.
I hope they buff someone with like a very realistic name to pronounce in the near future. It is getting kind of ridiculous. I mean, I was in European Escalation. I thought the modal Strelki was hard to pronounce, and then they put in these Hervermans in here and just messed up my shit.
Yeah, it's like bloody Scandinavian names are very rare to pronounce.
Just been too cost effective with the infantry. I think the next DLC patch actually nerfs the infantry.
Yeah, that's. I believe they're gonna make the Danish and Swedish reserve infantry national only, so you can't have them in a mixed NATO deck, but only in Swedish and Danish decks, which would be quite a good counter, I'd have to say, or to nerf them just a little bit.
We might see some Swedish and Danish only playing people because of that.
That'd be quite interesting.
A lot of times he nerfs the way someone plays. They just go like, no, I'm still gonna play that way.
Yeah, I'd like to see some more decks, because in NATO, all you see are mixed Pact or mixed NATO decks being used. You don't see really any national decks being used in these competitive tournaments. But for Pact, everyone just plays USSR only, because they have all the units you need.
Well, plus T-80U.
Yeah, T-80U, Tunguska, that's all you need. You can just have a unit, like a whole deck of that, and it would work quite nicely.
That's kind of the way the game was meant to be played. It was actually intended that everyone would be playing Soviet versus mixed NATO.
And we have 80% of the points NATO has to win. I think it's going to get a point win compared to a time win, so that'll be quite good. Yeah, it should be over in a few minutes, unless Pact can pull something out of their arses, which I highly doubt.
Less than a minute. Yeah, so to conclude, any announcements on your side?
No announcements from my side. Everything's been pretty much the same.
Do you have your Christmas decorations up?
No, not yet. Not yet. I've been a bit lazy for doing that.
When do you plan on doing it? What's the rule in Ontario?
Probably in December. I think November's a little bit too early.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's probably gonna be. I mean, right now it's started snowing, so hopefully it's not too snowy when I start doing it.
Yeah, Newfoundland, our rule is that you keep them up all year long. You know, like they can be Halloween nights at Halloween. They can be summer solstice lights in summertime. Like, all year round. It's great.
All year round.
No, I would never put them up all year round, but.
We do have, I think we have a little bit of a Pact assault going in from Delta. They're starting to move up, like one final assault into Alpha, trying to make some progress, but yeah, it's just a lot of infantry, and they have that choke point just choked.
It was one of the only uncontested points the entire match, and there's a good reason. It's a lot of infantry.
A lot of infantry. NATO at 90% of the points they need to win.
And of course, hopefully next week we can do this a little bit earlier in the week, not on the pretty much the day of the next week tournament.
Because this match was done on Sunday, but we are recording it right now on Saturday. So it took us 6 days to finally get this done. Hopefully, the replay will come in a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I think it's Thanksgiving that ruined everything. I always blame American Thanksgiving on everything. Like, whenever the Americans do their Thanksgiving, it's like everything shuts down.
Yeah, that's true. And Black Friday.
Well, Black Friday, I don't mind so bad because there's sales. Lots of sales.
Firestarter trying to move some MI-24s around the northern side, but they're just getting shot down instantly. Very good little AA net from that little covering that lake. Some Vabs and Rolands knocking them all out. And with 10 points left to go, NATO is going to have this.
Still better than NATO versus NATO.
Always like seeing packed.
All things considered.
And yeah, it's going to be a good game. Motoku and toppo managing to win week number 8 of the ESL EU tourney. 33-minute match is actually quite long.
That was quite long.
You see, just say like double the kills, over double the kills, and packed. They just completely decimated him, I have to say. Just all the infantry everywhere.
Yeah, like it's just too cost effective right now, and there's no pack answer. I mean, if Firestarter and Ribar are listening, like, guys, just play NATO like everybody else. Stop trying to be special little snowflakes and getting to the finals of the ESL and beating like 30 other teams to it as packed. Just play NATO.
I'd like to see someone win as a Norwegian Cat C armored deck. I think that'd be quite awesome.
I think all four of these players will be in the monthly final though. I think they will hit the point cap for that.
And that's an even bigger prize pool of 500 euros, because Motoku and toppo are going to win 200 euros for this week, but the monthly finals is 500. And yeah, that's really it. I'm Rangru.
And I'm Troublemaker.
And see you guys next time. Take it easy.